As Washington faces the looming threat of a government shutdown, the stakes have never felt more personal for those who walk the halls of power. The city is bracing for impact, with the Capitol standing as a symbol of both authority and uncertainty. For the first time in years, lawmakers' own paychecks are now at risk, adding a new layer of urgency to the ongoing budget standoff. The possibility of missing a paycheck is no longer just a talking point. It's a real concern for members of Congress and their staff. The deep partisan divide has left critical funding bills stalled in Congress, creating a legislative gridlock that threatens not only government services but also the financial stability of those responsible for passing the laws. This impasse is more than a political battle. It's now a direct hit to lawmakers' wallets. For many on Capitol Hill, this is no longer just a policy debate, it's become a personal crisis. The anxiety is palpable as lawmakers and their aides wonder how long they can go without pay, and what sacrifices they may have to make if the shutdown drags on. The Senate's financial clerk has officially announced that if the shutdown continues, the next scheduled paycheck simply won't be issued. This unprecedented move underscores just how serious the situation has become and how the consequences are now hitting home for lawmakers. Suddenly, the debate over government appropriations is no longer abstract. It's directly tied to the financial security of those in Congress, making the stakes intensely personal and immediate. Critics have long argued that lawmakers are insulated from the real-world consequences of their political failures. Now, with their own paychecks on the line, some hope this financial pressure will force Congress to finally break the deadlock and act in the nation's best interest. The shutdown's reach into Congress itself is unprecedented, raising new questions about whether this personal financial strain will be enough to push lawmakers toward compromise and restore government operations. As the sun rises over the Capitol, the nation waits to see if this crisis will finally be the catalyst that gets the government working again, or if the standoff will continue to drag on, with consequences for all. Amidst the chaos and mounting tension on Capitol Hill, a sense of urgency fills the air. The nation watches as lawmakers scramble to address the growing frustration over repeated budget crises and government shutdowns. The stakes are high, and the public's patience is wearing thin. In a rare show of unity, a bipartisan duo steps forward, determined to break the cycle of dysfunction. They propose a bold, permanent solution designed to hold Congress accountable for its most basic responsibility: passing a federal budget on time. Representatives Bill Huizenga and Scott Peters have introduced the No Budget, No Pay Act, a piece of legislation that aims to fundamentally change the way Congress operates. Under this bill, if Congress fails to pass a budget by the start of the fiscal year, members' paychecks are withheld. This isn't just a symbolic gesture, it's a direct consequence that hits lawmakers where it hurts most: their wallets. If deadlines are missed, salaries are placed in escrow, and lawmakers cannot receive retroactive pay once a budget is finally passed. The financial penalty is real and immediate, not just a distant threat. This measure is designed to impose a tangible cost for fiscal irresponsibility, making it clear that failing to do the job has personal consequences for those in power. The No Budget, No Pay Act is a direct response to the anger and disappointment felt by citizens across the country, who are tired of seeing their government lurch from one financial crisis to the next. For many Americans, the disruption caused by a government shutdown is more than enough. But for lawmakers, perhaps the threat of losing their own pay will finally provide the motivation needed to act responsibly. The ultimate goal is to align the interests of lawmakers with those of the public, making it impossible to ignore fiscal deadlines, and ensuring that Congress is held to the same standards as everyday Americans. The message is unmistakable: if you don't do your job, you don't get paid. It's a simple principle, but one that could finally bring real accountability to Capitol Hill. While Congress faces missed paychecks, the shutdown's real-world impact is severe. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers are furloughed without pay. National parks close, passport processing delays, and small businesses suffer. The White House warns of more layoffs if the stalemate continues. The shutdown disrupts lives, with scientists warning of preventable deaths. Political gridlock has devastating consequences for citizens trying to live their lives. Lawmakers' pay loss prompts varied responses, revealing accountability approaches. Representative Bill Huizenga requested his pay be withheld until the government reopens. Scott Peters pledged to donate his salary to non-profits aiding affected workers. These actions highlight the lack of a uniform policy. The No Budget, No Pay Act seeks to replace voluntary gestures with a universal rule. The shutdown forces a conversation about lawmakers' compensation. Actions like withholding or donating pay acknowledge responsibility. They argue for a permanent solution like the No Budget, No Pay Act to ensure accountability. Congress's chronic failure to pass a budget on time is not just a recent problem, it's a deeply rooted dysfunction that has plagued our government for decades. Every year, Americans watch as lawmakers bicker and deadlines slip by, leaving the nation in uncertainty. Since 1974, Congress has managed to pass a budget on time only once. This staggering statistic highlights a pattern of procrastination and gridlock that undermines public trust and disrupts essential government services. The No Budget, No Pay Act was introduced as a bold solution to enforce fiscal responsibility. It sends a clear message: lawmakers must be held accountable for one of their most basic duties, funding the government. Respected organizations, from nonpartisan watchdogs to leading policy think tanks, have voiced strong support for this bill, recognizing it as a crucial enforcement mechanism that could finally bring discipline to the budget process. The penalty is simple but powerful. If Congress fails to pass a budget, lawmakers' paychecks are withheld. This direct consequence is designed to focus their attention on the job they were elected to do. The current government shutdown is a stark reminder of what happens when Congress fails to act. Federal workers go unpaid, vital services are disrupted, and the American people are left frustrated and anxious. The No Budget, No Pay principle aims to break this cycle of legislative gridlock. By tying lawmakers' compensation to their performance, it creates a real incentive to work together and meet deadlines. Ultimately, this is about restoring accountability and functionality to Congress, making sure our representatives put the nation's needs above partisan squabbles and personal interests. The message is simple: fulfill your job requirement or forfeit your pay. It's a principle that resonates deeply with the American people, who expect their leaders to be held to the same standards as everyone else.